morning, good afternoon, good evening, where you guys are. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It's SoulSaint here, and we got a video that's going to be based off of some new stuff that came out recently. So, if you haven't already paid attention to the new update, we actually had some powders that were released into the wilderness, for lack of better words, on Stage 25 for Shoguns, as well as Sand Devil, which we're going to be doing some showcasing of some teams today. Since there's been a lot of interest, not only from a live, if you're here live with us, make sure you say hello, YouTube. We are currently going to be showcasing a couple teams on the channel. So one of the many that we were able to be proposed to, a big salute to Short on Skills. He actually gave us this build to look into. I'm going to show you guys the run first, but I'm going to kind of rationalize and tell you how the experience is going to go. Basically, in a summary of words, the concept of one of the fastest teams for Sand Devil is basically utilizing your enemy max HP hitters like Gina, which you see here, in addition to making sure you can control the outcome of the fight via some of the mechanics that are in this fight. So, like, for example, sleep is an important core component for this to be able to do it. We have Tatsu for that. Rio is going to be the one that establishes all the debuffs for it. And then, of course, you have your resetters and someone like a Neri, believe it or not, with her res. And on top of that, too, Kaimar with his own A3 ability, being able to give everybody a cooldown reset on their kit. So, with that being said, let's get into the run. And then I'm going to show you guys the builds and some other technical specifics behind what's going on, okay? So, I'm going to narrate it. Basically, it's going to happen pretty fast. I'm going to slow it down for the sake of the video. We have Tatsu go in to immediately start to slow, followed up by Rio putting her debuffs on. Then, from there, Kaimar does his throwaway, the boss wakes up, and Gina goes in with an A3 hit right off the rip. So you got a big chunk going in there, right? From there, it's going to be basically a little bit of spam of the abilities, right? You're going to have, you know, Tatsu, Aneri, and Rio basically kind of just exist. Kaimar will reset at this point with Gina going in for his next set of enemy max HP hits. So it's 30-30. We're at 60% pretty much, roughly. Now, he isn't relentless, as you can see, so you got an extra turn here. But it's pretty much going to wipe a lot of people here, right? We get the revive on Rio from the revive on death, but pay attention. Aneri revived Gina here specifically, which gives him the reset on his abilities, right? So he does his A3 again, and then we have Soul Reap clear it off. Now, with that being said, before we go any further and I show you the builds here, before you get, you know, a little disappointed about the whole fact about using Soul Reap, I was informed, and you take this at face value, but I trust Short on this one. Short said in his own specific words that there's some important things to look out for. So, Tatsu, 3%. That is a possibility when it comes to the sleep mechanic. If she fails it, then the run could end up failing, right? So that's an inevitable thing that exists inside Raid. If you're familiar with 3%, you know it's all too true, right? The second part is Gina does not require to have Soul Reap here in order to work. However, when we go into the builds here, you need to have a more established or more prominent Gina to be able to compensate for the damage output, okay? So I don't know if you noticed it. It looked like it was kind of close to like that 60% range, but there may have been a little bit of like a cutoff there, a little bit like that was shaved off because of the fact that his damage output isn't as high as it can be, which would be ultimately the requirement if you're not using it. So since we're talking about Gina, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys him first. He's actually at the top of the list anyways. We do have him in Relentless with Perception. I'm pretty sure he uses this Gina for like other content like Hydra, for example, which is something I also do for my Gina, trying to get him in Relentless. It's a very strong set, right? Now, stat-wise, though, we're aiming for 268 speed, 238 crit damage, with him being crit capped, and then as much defense as you can get, right? This could go higher. If you go higher, I think the output without needing Soul Reap is there, and you're able to effectively do it. However, if your Gina is a little bit more on the blessed side, then you may be able to change over to Soul Reap, and you can have that little bit of a negligence in terms of the tail end of that damage output, okay? Now, of course, you want this to be up and running. You want the damage to be there. His masteries are pretty much in sync with a lot of other content, too, as well. You know, the Giant Slayers from the extra hit procs, from his A3 and his A1 makes sense. Being able to have the Cycle of Magic for other content. This build pretty much kind of screams in tandem for content that's designed around like Hydra, for example, where he's going to flourish, you know, with accuracy and all these other extra stuff right now, right? But I just want to show you that so you can kind of see it and you have it available if you're ever looking forward to it. But the main concept is you need him to hit. You need him to hit really hard, or you can compensate for the lack of damage with something like Soul Reap. Of course, the higher the blessing, the more efficient it is. So the closer you are to like maybe hitting 4%, 8%, 14% as breakpoints, besides 6-star being 20% would be something to keep in mind, right? However, with that being said, having this is just like an extra bonus. It's not mandatory. Now, for Kaimar, he is running immunity, believe it or not, with speed. I don't know exactly where Short likes to use this one at, but in particular, you have him at 279 speed, 498 accuracy, which I don't think is mandatory for this particular team, but just to give you like an idea of some things to look out for. He's 279 speed, which is probably the most important thing for this one. You know, blessings-wise, he's using Intimidating Presence. And then, of course, his masteries are kind of lined up with like high accuracy output. It kind of screams like he's using this one a little bit more for the PvP side of things, so This is his masteries here. You got lore steal, which will give you some extra bonuses from artifacts and whatnot, so that's pretty good there too. Now Rio here is kind of an interesting one. I believe the boss fight itself is pretty much around like the 500s. I think we were just talking about it earlier. North of 500 for accuracy requirements in order to hit it. So you see that. We're going to go back to the fight itself real quick, and I want to show you guys another thing to kind of keep in mind. Who do we have in the lead role? I believe it is Rio herself, who gives attack. So it doesn't really matter. Okay, never mind. We're chilling. I thought we had like maybe an accuracy one to maybe compensate for something there, but looks like we're good. All right, so Rio here is going to be running a pretty hefty 305 with 500 plus accuracy. I think those are the two most important ones. Now, I did 2 runs so far on this one before I did the showcase one that you saw now. In the first run, she actually didn't die. In the second one, she did die. But the revive on death mechanic from Aniri kind of compensated for her, gave her the revive, which allowed Aniri to target the next one in the priority slot, which we'll talk about later, for Gina. So Gina can get his revive, and he gets his skills reset as a part of the revive. So very interesting nod. She is in Perception, One Piece Protection, and, of course, a Speed set. So you can kind of keep that in mind when you're looking for like bonuses to maybe help complement the build. She is in Brimstone. It is a T1 Brimstone. I'm pretty sure if she got that up to if he got up to like 5, that could be another way to kind of maybe squeeze in a little bit more damage and to compensate for G-Nut if you're not trying to use his Soul Reap, for example. But you kind of want it to be protected, I believe, in order to get that value. So you're going to be looking for like a 5-star. So it is kind of demanding in that regard. But maybe a worthy nod. Regardless, right? Now, Rio's masteries are also kind of in line with like a lot of accuracy, which you're looking for down the support tree, as well as her having some extra stats, like Shadow Heal helps out with Sand Devils. I don't know if you saw my other videos for Aniri Duo Cons, but that's actually an underrated mastery for that particular fight because it gives you a little bit more healing, right? We're going to go ahead and move on, though. Tatsu is our resident sleeper. I'm not even kidding you when I say this. This is actually kind of a little happy nod because Tatsu on release is pretty much dead on arrival. Not really a lot of people cared about her too much, but it's kind of cool to be able to see a champion get used in a way that's unique, that gives her some kind of like visibility, right? And honestly, if you're pushing towards Lady Mikage and you know you can grab one for right now, this may be a way you could use it if you're not at the point where you want to fuse all the way up, or if you have a duplicate, for example, this could be a good use for her. So anyway, she's currently rocking a triple perception set in there with 306 speed, another pretty hefty amount of speeds, north of 500 accuracy again as well. We gotta hit that accuracy versus resistance requirement. Remember, we did say there's a 3% effect no matter what accuracy you have, so there's always a chance failure. That is an RNG that's imposed by the game itself. It's not based off of your own skill or your own builds or anything like that. That's just what it is, right? So just keep that in mind. But he pretty much covers if it's not a 3% factor, he should win the resistance versus accuracy. He should win that battle. He does have her also in Brimstone. And then, of course, in terms of masteries, we're also leaning pretty much towards, since it's a high accuracy build, a lot of accuracy with like Eagle Eye as a particular focus, and of course, a lot of accuracy masteries as well. And then a little bit of damage to kind of complement her build, but I don't think this is the mandatory part. This right here is where you're looking at for efficiency. He definitely has max Sniper, which will help with increasing the efficiency. Lore Steal. Basically, you see it's all complementing towards making sure that she does her job, which is sleep. And then you go from there, right? Now, Aniri, on the other hand, is actually built in a 2-turn stone skin, which I found that was actually a nice little nod. I'm actually very curious. It looks like she's going at a very slow 164. She is 2-star awakened, which I believe is using Miracle Heal. It's kind of on par with what we use it for in our duo builds. But her speeds kind of give you an indicator that like she's there just to tank through the fight until a certain moment where she does some of her interactions. So particularly surviving up until her second turn, which is where she gets a revive at, that's what you're looking for. You don't want her dying because then the revive on death can go all over the place and then she's out of the picture and she can't revive G-Nut later in that fight, right? So having her in stone scan basically means that for those two turns, until those 2 turns happen, she's a wall that can't be broken through, right? So that's really, really good. In terms of mastery, she's actually a little bit differently designed. She has a lot of defenses raining around like Resurgent and whatnot. This may be a build that's not entirely designed towards Sand Devil. She is going War Master Pockets as her tier 6, so he kind of leaned more into that offensive approach, maybe a little bit extra damage just to complement the team. But ideally, the main thing you're looking for is this revive and being able to survive all the way up into that point, and then of course maybe some case usage with revive on death on her passive. So with that being said, I know a lot of you guys are looking to start farming some powders, and I'm hoping that this team will be somewhat valuable to you. Like I said, there is some things to watch out for. The main thing I would say is that, one, you want to hit the stats you're looking for in terms of speeds. That's the first thing. Make sure you hit the damage numbers you're looking for G-Nut as much as possible. The accuracy requirements for both Rio and Tatsu are pretty important. Now, we are also going to talk about priority slotting. Rio is in the lead role, as well as Aneri being in the second or the first priority slot after the lead role, followed by G-Nut, Kaimar, and Tatsu. And the reason why is if it revives on deaths, it goes through the priority slotting for a lot of like positioning purposes, right? The same thing is also true for targeting for Aneri's res. So if Rio is dead and there's no revive on death on play, Aneri's going to revive Rio first. But with revive on death kind of being in place, she's always going to make sure she's up. So when it comes to her actual turn to do the revive, she'll do the next one in slot. So since she's alive, it'll be G-Nut afterwards. And with G-Nut, you get the reset, and that's how you get the damage output. So that's one other key thing to remember. And with that being said, let me know. Are you guys planning on using this build yourself? I'm actually interested in trying it myself. I don't know. We'll see. I don't have a Kaimar, so maybe not. We might do another team one. So look forward to the videos that we're going to publicate in the future, okay? With that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and always remember, stay safe.
Quick to get the